here. Okay, so I thought this was our last class, so we kind of went through a lot of ideas. I wanted to go through two more character traits that are, I don't know, maybe less well-known or maybe not the standard. So I thought it'd be nice to start with that and then go through some tools and then kind of wrap up everything we've kind of spoken about in the last 4 weeks. If you missed anything, any particular week shouldn't be a problem, so we'll kind of catch you up. So you could just kind of give a wrap up and where to go from here. Okay, so one character trait, very interesting, they speak about is called midas emes, which is a character trait of honesty, truthfulness. And it's funny, the way we think about honesty, when I saw emes, honesty, okay, so that means telling the truth, not lying, very simple. But they speak about it in very different terms. And actually, the best example of how to learn about the character trait called honesty is from Genesis, the book of Genesis. Yeah, sure. The book of Bereshit. The book of Bereshit, and particularly from one character, we're actually about to finish the Torah reading, the book of Bereshit this week. This will be March 25th. If you go through all the character traits in the book of Bereshit, the one I find most intriguing is Esav. And the reason is quite simple. See, I grew up Esav. You know, you pictured Esav, you picture this like biker dude, right? Real mean-looking guy, bad. I do it I teach second grade, and I always draw a picture of Esav, right? My Esav, people laughing. My Esav is this guy in a muscle shirt with a ponytail, a tattoo that says "Mom," you know, holding a weapon. What? Dad? Okay. Oh, that's right. You had a dad. Oh, you have a dad. You're right. Right. I was even smarter than I. Anyway, so you figure Esav, this nasty biker dude, and I also, when I hear the story, it's so strange. Like, you know, here's Isaac, the father, gets stuck and trying to figure out who's the good son, who's the righteous son, who's not, right? So you have one son who's sitting and studying Torah all day, and the other son's this biker dude. Gee, I wonder who it is. And he can't seem to figure out. He thinks Esav's the one. I mean, how hard? I mean, that's a hard sell. How do you explain that's true? What was Yitzchak thinking? Right? How did he actually fall for it? How did he think that Esav was the righteous son? And the reality is, when you study a little deeper, and this is why I always recommend, you know, studying on an adult level. Like what we study as kids is just not the same. You study a little deeper and deeper, you get a little older, and I continue to study. I uncovered a lot more about Esav, and the picture's a completely different picture. Let me give you some examples about Esav. Okay, number one, when he lost. Here, let's see this one in a minute. But let's just see when he lost the brachos. Right at the end, Yitzchak gave the blessings to Yaakov. And Esav didn't come away with it. It says in the Torah, "Vayitzak za'aka gedola umara." He cried a great, bitter cry. Now the Torah doesn't use words unless they're very, very significant. He cries a great, bitter cry. You know, you don't cry a great, bitter cry unless you really believe you lost something that was coming to you. If he knew that it wasn't coming to him, there's nothing to cry about. He can say, "Oh, shucks, it didn't work." You know, my facade didn't work. That's what he should have wanted. But he cries a great bitter cry, implying that he really felt that this was his and was taken away from him. Here's a person who really believed that he was up next in line. He really thought it was Avram, Yitzchak, and he's next in line. And there's a number of sources for that. But let's see some of the sources here. I printed two sources about Esav, and just when you start to see the whole story, a brand new individual kind of comes to light. So it says, as they were growing up, Vayigdol Na'arim says the pasuk, says the verse. It's on the first page on the source sheet if you're interested. And it says, Vayi Esav ish yodei tzayid, which means a person who knew hunting. Okay, he was an expert hunting. Ish sadeh, a man in the field. Yaakov ish tam, he was an innocent, simple person. Yoshev Olam, sitting and studying Torah, they say. It means he was studying Torah. So what does this tzayid mean? It sounds like he knew how to trap, knew how to hunt. Rashi says exactly. He not only trapped animals, he knew how to deceive people, and particularly his father. It says he would ask his father, "Hey, how do you take off maaser? How do you tithe the different, insignificant salt and straw?" And his father thought, "Wow, what a great son!" So his father actually thought that this was a scrupulous person in following the command, very meticulous in following the mitzvos. That's what he thought. Okay, what was actually going on, of course, we know deep down that wasn't at all what he was. But it's more than that. What is Yaakov? Yaakov was very simple. I like the expression, Kilibo kain piv. What was in his heart, that was what was in his mouth. What he felt is what he said. What he said is what he was. There was no two-faced, it wasn't this two-faced concept. Now, we mentioned Esav not only tricked him, Esav really believed in him. I'll give you other sources for that. The next pasuk, Vayi Esav ben 40 shan, it says Esav was 40 years old. The next verse over here. And he gets married to 2 wives. Okay, he marries 2 wives. Where did this come from? Rashi explains that Esav was looking at his father Yitzchak, his father Isaac's path, And when did Isaac Yitzchak get married? At 40. So Esau says, oh, so if Isaac got married at 40, that must mean I need to get married at 40. Says Rashi, amazing Rashi, what was going on in Esau's head? Esau is compared to a pig, l'chazir, right? We know there's two signs for a kosher animal. One is split hooves, and one is he chews his cud. Now the pig has the split hooves, but he doesn't chew his cud. So the pig externally says, look, I'm kosher, but internally he's not. And that's why Esau is compared to the pig. Now Esau did the same. What did Esau do? 40 years he didn't get married. What was he doing? Says Rashi, unbelievable. Kollel b'mishana, all 40 years, I'm now towards the end of this Rashi, tzad nashim mitachas bal, and he would trap women, uma'ana osam, he would violate them, and when he turns 40, he's like, oh, time to get married. I'm following the path of my fathers. Now, how does this person rationalize, on the one hand, being a complete, animal, if I may, and on the other hand, really believing, deep down believing that he's next in line. It's going to be Abraham, Isaac, he's next. He really believes it. They got married at 40, I'm getting married at 40. There's more proofs to this, that Esau really believed this. After Isaac sends away Yaakov to Lavan to find a wife, right? Because none of them wanted to marry from the daughters of Canaan. Canaan was known as, for some reason, a cursed nation. You don't marry daughters from Canaan. Yaakov went to Lavan. So Esau looks at his situation. He's got already 2 wives that are already Canaanite wives. He says, we don't marry Canaanite women. Let me marry a 3rd wife, the daughter of Yishmael, not from Canaan. Okay, so he marries him. So again, he's constantly doing this game of like, I got to follow along the path to become the next one of the 3 patriarchs, except his behavior is completely off. How did that happen? Okay, here's our question. How does that happen? How does an Esau, who's like totally convinced that he's up next in line, his behavior totally doesn't follow that, but he's totally convinced he's there, he's it, he's the one. It continues. When Yaakov dies in Egypt, and they go up to bury Yaakov in Maras Machpelah, this is the burial place in Israel, which is designated for the patriarchs. Abraham and Sarah are there, Yitzchak and Rivka are there, Leah's already there. Yaakov, they're bringing his body, who shows up? Esau. Hey, that's my spot. That's my parking spot, right? That's reserved for me. I'm up next. He really believed this. He believed that he was up next. How did he believe that? Right, in the end, we spoke about this, Barry, that one of the grandchildren of Yaakov actually, in all its motion, actually chops off Esau's head, and his head winds up inside. And I said that the rationale, Barry said, what does that mean? So the rationale is that his head was actually in a good place. Esau's intellect was okay. Esau understood what it meant. See, I don't believe Esau walked around like a biker dude. I believe Esau walked around like a great rabbi. He walked around like a good Jew. He showed he's very careful about mitzvah observance. And on the surface, he seemed like he was doing everything right. He was so convincing, he even convinced himself that he is such a good person. And he is on his way to heaven. He's going to be one of the big 3. The Jewish people are going to come out of him. He was all convinced that he is up for greatness. And he totally didn't pay attention to the internal, all the evil he was doing, which was murder, all these other terrible sins. He just totally just didn't notice them. And this is actually a character trait. It's the character trait called the opposite of MS, truthfulness. When we talk about truth, we talk about Yaakov. Kilibo came piv. Whatever was in his heart, that's what he said. You see, if you're honest, you don't always look that good. I bet when Isaac looked at his kids, Yaakov was honest. He had a good day, he said a bad day, bad day. He was honest. So Yaakov didn't necessarily look that good. Esau, everything's great, he's always amazing, everything's amazing. He had this the character trait of dishonesty, of not being clear. His inside did not match his outside. Hence, he became the wicked one, he was the wicked one. And that, I think, why such an intriguing character. It's not the way we necessarily grew up understanding Esau. He was so untruthful about himself, he even fooled himself. And it's amazing that we can actually fool ourselves to that point, to think we're so good and we're actually not. Now, here's the question. Does this contradict a concept we mentioned way back? We mentioned a concept that, how do you fix character traits? You act them out, and then they affect you internally. The way to do it is not to wait till I feel it internally. We do it externally, and external actually affects the internal. This is a concept we mentioned from the Mesilas Yesharim, from all these great sources that in Hebrew it's called chitzoniyut moreret hapnimiyut. The external affects the internal. Is that a contradiction to this whole concept of honesty? If you're only external, then that's Esau's approach, right? That's the approach of do it externally and don't really be it internally. Is there a contradiction here? Are we stuck we stuck with a contradiction. So, I mean, I'm going to suggest, yeah, it's problematic, right? I'm going to suggest the answer is that it depends. You can't, do you have an answer?
No,
I thought you had.
confused mannerism.
What?
Ready for you to.
Okay, good. So, I think it really depends how it's done. If a person wants to fix a character trait, let's say he wants to be more kind to somebody, right? And he doesn't feel it. Right? I don't feel like I want to be kind to somebody. If I act kind to that person, I'll start feeling kind to that person. Provided that I'm not faking it, I'm acting it in order to inspire myself to want to care more about this person, to be kind. The external actions will affect us if we're doing it in order for them to affect us. But if we're playing this game where, I'm going to make this face as if I care, I'm going to pretend to care, but I really don't, that's not going to change a person for the better. That's going to remain this untruthful character trait. Okay, so there's such a thing as a faker. The faker is someone who externally has no intent of changing himself. He simply wants to remain an external shell where he, as if he's such a great person. Internally, he wants to remain the internal, lower grade person, and he has no intent to change. Our concept of using the external as a tool to change the internal is done with purpose. I'm doing this in order to change myself. That's the idea. Does that fit with you, Barry?
Mm-hmm. But he doesn't see himself as being lower, his other half or whatever. You say he wants to be lower. He probably doesn't, whether it's Esau or any individual who behaves like this, that other half is justified in some way.
I think there's actually two levels. There's a level where you know you're faking, and there's a level where you're such a good faker, you don't even know it. You're even faking yourself. And I think that's where Esau got to, and I think we can all get to that point, where we really think we're so good we don't even know, how many faults. That's why I said sometimes you have to ask somebody else, Ask the spouse, what's wrong with me, right?
Some people feel it's so good that they allow themselves to go down a path that's not right. But they justify it because, hey, I'm good enough for it.
Okay, there you go. So Barry, what's about you? Still bugging about the head and the
I am. I understand what you're saying about the intellect, but I did have some comments about Esau.
Okay.
He seemed to be like people have said. He's very respectful of his father, and maybe his mother too, but certainly his father. And not killing his brother. After the soup incident, but he struck me as a military man. When he met Yaakov later with 400 men, says he's a leader.
Yeah.
And he's a leader, And
so you're saying there are other positive traits that Isaac might have seen him in as well.
I don't know if that's a positive trait to be a military man, but it's certainly it is. And later they said Esau became Rome, and Rome was certainly a militant nation.
There you go.
They had the legions, the Roman legions, but I do see that it. Except for the fact he wanted to kill Yaakov, which is not very positive, but it was his ancestors, the ones that refused Israel. I think they wanted to come down the King's Highway, and Esau, the Edomites, refused in the Torah. They wanted to come, and they said no. And then his grandson Amalek. Not too cool,
You see what came out of him. You see what came out of him. It wasn't.
I know, but it was really, But Esau was firstborn, right?
So that's always good. They were twins, but he came out first. Yeah.
He came out first.
He did come out first. Yeah.
And and so.
Okay.
So as a firstborn, I guess he felt like it's his.
Yeah, it was coming.
That's his deal. His birthright. His birthright.
Right. Birthright. And also, he felt that he really was the person. He really felt he was preparing for that role of being next up.
But somebody said they were fraternal twins, and this friend of mine, Jewish, he argued that no, they were identical twins. But if they were identical twins, they did not have identical behaviors. That's for sure. More likely fraternal. That's what I think.
That's it. Your guess is as good as mine. I have no inkling one way or the other. Okay, so we see this concept that a person, and it's actually a character trait. It's a bit of an esoteric character trait because it's not so clear how we look at this. But the character trait that's developing here is one we call it honesty. But really, what we mean is sincerity. Sincerity. Our service of God has to be sincere. It can't be just external. It has to be sincere. Another wording of this is tzniut, interestingly enough, which we often translate as modesty. There's a verse over here I put into this the source sheet. It's a verse from the prophet Micha, And he says over here, Hagilacha ma tov ma shem dorish lecha. What is God asking of you? Ki im, he mentions three things: asaf, mishpat, justice, chesed, which is kindness, and the third one is what I want to focus on: batznei alechet im elokecha. Go modestly with God. Go modestly with God. What does that mean? Go modestly with God. So modestly over here is referring to this character trait, where your service of God is not something external; it's internal. It's very real. It's very sincere and very real. It's very much following the same character trait of emes, where it's sincere. I think in this age in particular, it's very important for people to develop their personal space. Especially in the world today, like you mentioned, social media, where everything we do is very external. Everything. I ate supper. The whole world has to know. I went to a park. Yeah, let's just share. Like, where's your internal, personal space? Where's you? Everything we do is kind of, for show. And the concept about snei alechet im elokecha is, first of all, have personal space. Where's you? Where's the you in all this? Where no one else is watching, right? Does it exist? You need to develop that. I think we all need to develop it a little bit. Maybe some people don't have it at all. I wouldn't be surprised. It needs to be developed, and that's where the service of God takes place. That's where prayer takes place. Prayer is not an external thing. You see, they used to ask us, when I was in yeshiva many years ago, when you pray with the community, with your school, with all of your friends, how do you pray? And when you pray privately in your house, how do you pray? If you're praying in your house, it's finished in 2.5 minutes, and you're done. And when you pray in public, all of a sudden you're a big tzaddik. So that's the first inkling that it's a very external thing for you. It's not very real. It's not very, and it happens. It's fine. It's normal. Question is, if you see that, that's already an indication that you need to work on that sincerity, at that personal space, because all this stuff has to be very, very personal. Character traits have to be very real and very sincere. So I would say the first step is developing this personal space. Number one, know who you are. Right? It's not everything needs to be publicly posted. And number two, getting to the point where all service, all positive Judaism, so to speak, is in that personal space. And that's really what it's all about, not the external stuff. I guess the story that kind of is related to this, that I was in the yeshiva, and in the Mir Yeshiva, a great yeshiva for many, many years. And I left it for even a greater number of years. And I came back a long while later. And I recognized a guy, and he started talking to me, and I know this guy from I think it was 9 years earlier. I know this guy, except he looks very different today. And I'm looking at him, and this guy was he's a clown. He kind of showed up. He was a joker, but he had this big beard now and these thick peyot, right? He looked very, very religious today. I'm looking at him wow, he looks so religious. Wow, I wonder what kind of transformation he must have gone through, because the way I remember him, that wasn't him, right? And I'm talking to him a little bit. I'm talking and talking about the old days. And as he's talking, his manner of speech and his content told me, no, he's the same guy. He's the same guy. Nothing changed. The only thing that changed is the length of his beard and all this other stuff. And I'm looking at the guy and saying, wow. And it's not his fault per se. It's a trap. He wants to grow, right? Growing for real is very hard. Growing your beard is easy. Changing your appearance is easy. Externally, it's very easy to change. And it's a trap, actually. Rav Wolbe talks about this trap in his book, Ali Shore. He talks about it. He says, people who want to grow sometimes, they make a mistake. They want to grow, they want to change, and they want to do something big, and let me change my appearance. No. That's external. Growth has to be very, very private, very, very internal. You can change your external look eventually if it matches your internal. I think there was one of these schools, institutions for Bali Tshuva, for people who never grew up with anything, and they go to the school and they start teaching them. And they have a rule there, I think, for the first couple of years. You're not allowed to grow a beard. You can't, no fanatic haircuts. You can't do anything. And like, why? I want to fit in. And it's for this reason exactly. It's very easy to say, oh, I'm in this new community. Look, those guys are the most religious. I'm going to go look like them. That's very fake. It's very, very fake, right? We need real change. We're not looking for, this mask. Put on a mask, go pretend you're one of them. That's not what it's about. So the rule is for a good reason. Anyway, so that was the idea, and that's really where I think that this concept gets brought up, is to make sure we have that private space, and our service of Hashem is very real, very nice, personal space. Okay, another character trait I thought worthwhile to mention, before we finish with the character traits, is one called menuchat hanefesh. Okay, menuchat hanefesh, which we translate as peace of mind. Okay, peace of mind. Peace of mind means the reason for peace of mind is because when a person's at peace, when he's calm, he can think. We mentioned, I think it was last time, is that what's very important for a person is his intellect is the boss. Right? We have our emotions, we have our intellect. They both can be running the show. If you don't have peace of mind, there's a good chance your emotions are running the show and your intellect kind of lags behind. For a person to be successful in any of his decisions in life, his intellect has to be the one leading the show. So menuchat hanefesh is really a very, very important character trait where a person is calm and relaxed. I actually had I'm sorry?
Give the direct translation of what you're saying in Hebrew, because it's not peace of mind.
Menuchat hanefesh means rest of the soul.
Yeah.
I don't know if that helps you.
It's deeper.
Deeper, it is deeper.
Yeah, it sounds like it's dead.
Might be.
Could just be the.
I had the privilege. I had the privilege of being around some great people. Now, in particular, Rav Scheinberg, Rav Scheinberg. Say, I was in his yeshiva for a while. I lived down the street from him. I got to see him. I was in his house a bunch of times. I got to see him in a lot of different scenarios. Now, just to give you an idea of who he was, this was a person who didn't waste 5 seconds of his life. He wouldn't button this button of his shirt because it would take away time from him that he can study Torah. That's the way that was his personality. He was a person who wouldn't waste 5 seconds. I knew this about him. He had a lot of funny things about him he wouldn't do, not to waste precious moments. He talked all the time. When he spoke to us, don't waste precious moments. By the way, he lived till late into his 90s, or over 100. He was over 100. So he had a lot of precious moments in his life, but that was his motto. Now, when you sit next to him, you see him, you would imagine, oh, he's a very stressed out guy. I got my moments, I'm sick. No, he's the most calm individual I've ever met. It's therapeutic just to be near him. He would breathe with these long, deliberate breaths that were so long and deliberate, you would think like he's doing yoga. This relaxed kind of demeanor about him. And this is what I noticed then. Again, being in his close proximity, and I'm talking very close. So you could prepare a class over here. I sat right here. And he's so calm and relaxed. No rush anywhere.
He was already after?
Went. Yeah, he's not alive today. But this is here. I don't know if you saw him or not. But the point is that he was so relaxed. And after speaking to other people who were in close proximity of great rabbis, they said the same thing. Great people are very, very. You don't see the other heroic, actions of, you don't see their learning, you don't see their abilities. This is one thing you notice right away. So calm and relaxed. And when you're calm and relaxed, your brain takes control. And when you're not calm and relaxed, everything else can take control. The speaker this past Shabbos, I heard her speech about stress, right? Mm-hmm. What's stress? When you get stressed out, that means that your intellect is the last thing on the table. Everything else is acting up, right? Everything else. How often did we do things in a matter when we were stressed out or uptight, and afterwards you look at yourself like, what were you thinking? How did you do that? Your intellect obviously was gone. Your intellect was in the back, in the trunk. Like road rage, right? You ever had a situation where a person had road rage, honks like crazy at a person, only to discover that was his boss in the other car, and then was on the boss's bad side for the rest until he eventually left that job somehow, right? How did that happen? That happens because it happens because you get stressed out. Intellect's gone. Now some guy didn't react the right way on the street where you wanted to, and you're gonna just get him with the horn. Give him everything you got with the horn, right? How does that happen? It's just, again, the intellect is gone. It's now something else has taken over. So menuchat hanefesh, this concept of peace of mind, is a character trait that could be developed. It could be worked on and expanded. So it's a very, very, very important character trait. Okay, so definitely for stress and all these anger and all these other things. Okay, so these are 2 character traits I want to put on the table. I don't think we can, I think we need to at least discuss them and mention them. We're going to go with them in a minute in our breakdown at the end. In terms of tools, okay, we mentioned a lot of tools to fix our character traits. There's 3 tools I think it's imperative to mention before we're done here as well. Okay, the first tool I want to mention is study of Torah. Okay, the Mesilat Yesharim, the famous book, which we must have quoted a bunch of times. He talks about all these different levels of growth. Some of them character traits, some of them just levels of growth. And he starts off the book at the first step to going up any ladder. He has his whole ladder. How do you get to Ruach HaKodesh eventually, to divine, levels? How do you start off? It's all with Torah. Okay? And the way with Paul is how sure this, I mentioned him earlier as well. He says the way that works is Torah is actually the engine. Everything else you study, all this other talk, everything we're talking about is kind of the track. Right? It guides you. But the engine that pushes you is actually studying Torah. Torah has a profound effect on us. Okay, so maybe you felt it, maybe you haven't. Study of Torah, this means any study of Torah. This is Torah, what we're talking about right now, we're talking Torah. But any study of Torah can be completely unrelated. It actually has this profound effect of helping you move up the ladder, helping you go from stage to stage. These character traits are challenges, we all know that. To gain these character traits are a tremendous challenge. Torah is a vehicle which helps us go to level. The more Torah you study, the way it should be, the greater chance you have of being successful with these character traits. Another story about this yeshiva or sameach, I mentioned it earlier, this school for people. Sorry, you okay there? You have a question? No, you good? Okay, no, I thought you had a question. No. The school or sameach, where a lot of people come in not keeping anything, people come out keeping a lot of Torah, doing a lot of things, a lot more committed to their Judaism. I once went in there to kind of see how do this magic go? How do they do that with a magic wand? You come in, you're a changed man, now you're a great, committed Jew. How do they do that, right? And I walked in there, and what I saw was a big study hall, people studying Talmud. That's all. And I see, what are they studying? The same stuff we're studying in our institute, studying Talmud. And I asked him about it, where's the other stuff? He's like, we have a half hour here, a half hour there. Our success comes from studying Talmud. Now we're studying about the ox and gores, this stuff helps improve people's character. It helps change people's lives. It makes no sense. The only way we can understand it is that since Talmud is something very spiritual, our souls are equally spiritual, it somehow has that effect, and it really brings us from level to level. Torah study is a tremendous vehicle. When you experience it, and if you don't experience it, you'll think it makes no sense. But it really works. So Torah is really the way, and maybe the only way, to go from level to level. If it's just a self-help book, there's a good chance you can put all the wisdom in the world in a self-help book. If there's no Torah to go along with it, it won't be effective. Okay? So Torah is a huge, huge vehicle and a huge tool for accomplishing these great things. Okay, a second tool, and this maybe is an obvious one. Okay? Prayer. Very obvious, right? If you pray for something, you get it. Okay? I actually gave a whole, that's a hard one, right? That's a hard one. I actually gave a whole mini-series on prayer where I actually went through that question, what does it mean? Do we get everything we pray for? Do we not get something if we don't pray for it? And actually went through it, but I can't do that right now. What I can say is that prayer is the most effective tool we have to get anything, but especially when it comes to spiritual things, okay? Just like imagine you ask your father for something, so you can ask him for a pack of cigarettes, he might say yes, he might say no. Right? But if you ask him for, I want to take that course you always wanted me to take so I can become, the accountant like you. For sure, right? The thing he cares most about, he'll want to give you first, right? So God wants us to be spiritual. That's what he wants. So if we ask for spirituality, there's like a special place, so to speak, in God's heart for spiritual requests. So if you ask for improvement in our character, I have trouble with my anger. Can you please help me with this? Right? That prayer is way more effective than, in general, other prayers. Okay, so that's number one. It's just a more effective way to get something. Number two, prayer has a tremendous power of developing the trait of bitachon, faith. Okay, we mentioned last time very quickly, but faith is a huge condition in achieving many of the character traits. Okay, why do we get stressed out about things? Because we're nervous. We're going to lose out somewhere. If we know that God's going to make everything happen no matter what, it's not in our hands anyway. We have nothing to be stressed out about, right? Faith is a huge part. It really goes hand in hand with character improvement. I didn't discuss much about bitachon, but really, faith is a very, very important condition in character development. Prayer, improving our prayer, working on our prayer, builds this concept of faith. If you're praying to God, that means you're believing that He's going to help you. So prayer is a huge step in terms of building bitachon, hence helping us with character development. And the third reason why is because prayer is something we do consistently. Okay, some more consistently than others, right? Maybe some of us do it daily, some of us do it weekly, some of us do it monthly, or whatever, but it's something that has a consistency to it. Character improvement needs consistency. So if you link it to prayer, there's a good chance you'll be consistent with your character development as well. Right? We mentioned the real way to build character development is a daily accounting for what's going on every day, right? Very challenging. If you pray every day, you'll be on it much more because you're remembering it, you're praying for it, you're on it. It's much more in your forefront of your mind. Okay, so that's tool number two. Yeah, go ahead.
When Esau cried after Yitzhak had blessed Yaakov in his place, he said, "No wonder he's called Yaakov. Is Yaakov mean deceiver?"
No, Yaakov maybe means either. Let's say it means holding back. Let's use that.
No wonder he's called Yaakov.
Yeah. That's
holding back.
He held me back. He held me back now twice.
Okay.
He held me back. Yeah. That's where it comes from. Very good. Okay, and the third tool, and here maybe is the most practical tool that maybe we can have, is the concept of small increments. Okay, the biggest mistake people make is they want to do big things right now, and it doesn't work. Okay, it doesn't work. If you want to accomplish big things, you have to do it in small increments. The example is someone went to the great Rav Shach, another great rabbi of yesteryear. Someone went to him and said, you know what, I want to really start improving, I want to start studying Torah 2 hours every night. That was his, he went to Rav Shach, what do you think? Rav Shach says, can you study 15 minutes? How about 15 minutes a night? He's like, well, yeah, I want to study 2 hours a night. You tell me to study 15, aren't you the rabbi? Like, you know what's going on? He said, no, obviously. If you study 2 hours a night, what's going to happen? First night, maybe you'll get through it. Second night, you'll start losing your energy probably after halfway through. Third night, you'll say, this is not for me. Give up, close the book, and go back to your old self. Try 15 minutes a night, something you know you can do, and you know you can do long term. Do it and make it part of your lifestyle, make it part of your daily schedule, make it happen. And then you'll see, you know what, I can up the ante. I can go up to 20 minutes, I go up to 25 minutes. Before you know, you'll be doing those 2 hours a night, but you have built it up slowly, and now it's a long-term project rather than just a few nights. And this is the way that we can accomplish anything. It has to be in small increments. Anyone who thinks that they're going to, oh yeah, tomorrow I will not get angry no matter what, the entire day, morning till night, no matter what happens. I guarantee you, not guarantee you, good chance, especially if you're making that decision, probably you have certain challenges that get you angry. There's a good chance those things will arise, and a good chance you won't last very long. And then a good chance you'll say, you know what, this ain't working, goodbye. Right? But if you say, you know what, tomorrow for a half hour between 6 and 6:30, I'm setting my alarm before 6 o'clock. So I know when 6 o'clock comes, I'm reminding myself I will not get angry. And for the next half hour, anyone who gets me angry, I will just simply close my mouth and look at my watch and wait. And then I'm going to give it to them. You ever try that? You're never as angry, by the way, if you ever try that. You're never as angry if you wait. Anyway, it's a great tool. They used to say with raising children, if you really want to give it to your child for something they did wrong, wait till the next morning. You will speak so much more coherently. You will sound like a human being. They will accept what you have to say. You may actually have progress with what you want to tell them. So that's another thing they used to say that we learned from the greats. Anyway, so but that's the idea. The idea is take a half hour a day. Don't take a whole day. It's not going to work. Half hour a day, focus, or 15 minutes a day maybe. Maybe that's what we can handle. But build slowly. Don't think you're going to do something major. Tomorrow. It's not going to happen. There's no instant improvement. It has to be done incrementally. Okay, so this is a major, major tool. I'm going to use this with anything we want to accomplish. If you try to do something major tomorrow, it's not going to happen. So what I did is, along these lines, I photocopied into here Rabbi Avigdor Miller's 10 Steps to Greatness. Now, someone asked me once, English books we can read that are down to earth and easy to read. I would put Avigdor Miller's books on the list. Okay, I don't know if I would call. He's not from our generation. He's from one generation ago, but he's an American. He maybe speaks. He's awesome. Okay, so we have a fan. Anyway, he was somebody who grew up in America, went to Europe to study. Okay, before Judaism was in Israel and America, the yeshivas were all in Europe. He went to Europe to study. He studied from the greats. He came back and he's been spreading Mussar the rest of his life. Now, he came up with a very interesting approach. And he, as far as I never saw anyone else write anything like this, he says 10 things you can do every day to reach greatness. 10 easy things, and they're all very, very easy. Now, not all of them are character development. I did put them all on the list, so you can look them over. I think number 3 and number 4 are really character development, maybe number 5. Those are the 3, 4, and 5 are character development, so I'm going to focus on those. The rest of them are just things to make a person great, but the beauty of all of these things, and what they all share in common, is they're super easy, 1 second things, 30-second things, nothing big. And that's really what you learn. Do small things and big things will happen. So number 3, let's jump straight to number 3. He says to a person, you want to become great? Do one hidden act of chesed, of kindness, that nobody else knows other than God. No one else. Do every day. Every day you have a job. Your job is you have to do one act of kindness that nobody knows about. Nobody realizes, maybe you're at work and somebody left out their milk out of the fridge. And they thought they put it away. You put the milk away, they're not there anymore. You just did an act of kindness they'll never find out about. No one knows. Only you know you did it. God knows you did it. And you're doing this as an act, as a way to improve your care for other people. There's a character. You're building character. You do it once a day. That's it. Nothing major. Humility. You're putting yourself second. You're saying, I care about someone else, right? You're not speaking about it. You can just go. It's also building up that internal, real, sincere Judaism, right? Where you're not actually saying, oh, look what I did. Look how good I am. Right? Because it's very tempting. You do something good, you want everyone to know. But on Facebook, here's the milk I put away. Here's me putting it away. Here's in the fridge. Here's the person drinking the next morning. Right? No, so here it's completely private, you and the Almighty. And what a brilliant comment. It's such an easy thing. You're hitting so many character points in one simple act a day. Yeah. Here's another one, number 4. Encourage somebody. Give someone a compliment. Give someone encouragement once a day. Encourage them. Either say, wow, you did a great job with that. It's very hard, by the way, complimenting other people, right? Very difficult to compliment, especially if the person's arrogant, he needs to be better than everybody else. To be able to lower himself to compliment someone else on what they did, that's very hard, right? So to make an effort to go ahead and encourage, compliment, give someone a good word. Wow, you really did a great job. You delivered a great speech, or I really like your shoes. I don't know. I guess women can appreciate that one. But give someone some encouragement and a compliment or something, and you'll once again see you're caring about other people. You're not putting yourself first for once. You're able to see someone else good at something. It's a tremendous tool for again all these character traits. So what I loved about it is that these are one shot, one thing a day, nothing big. One thing a day will have a big difference. He also gives you the idea of cheshbon nefesh. He says 1 minute a day. I have a hard time imagining how in 1 minute you can get in your entire days, kind of, you're accounting for your entire what I did, what time I went to sleep, how I prayed, if I prayed, all these different things, how I was with with my interpersonal reactions. I would have a hard time doing that in 1 minute. But again, better 1 minute than not at all.
Maybe this is similar to the 2 hours. I would have come study for 2
There you
hours.
go. There you go.
So maybe I'm going to do 15
You're
minutes. You may not do it.
You're 100% right. Do something I agree with you. Maybe a person should say, okay, I'm only going to do an accounting of my morning hours, my morning routine. That's it. That's all I can handle. Too much for me. I'm going to count how I woke up in the morning, what time, did I say Modani, was I nice to my kids in the morning? I'm done. That's my daily accounting. That's it. I can't do the rest of the day, But maybe that's something, maybe that's already, again, do something. So what I put them all here on the page for you if you'd like to go through them. I highly recommend, if this interests you, is to listen to, he has an audio tape, and I think it's online. And this class in particular I think it's everywhere, and it's very, very worthwhile to hear. In general, it's worthwhile to listen to. This one in particular is a mind-blowing kind of approach. He talks a lot about the concepts we spoke about, and he tells you why these 10 things will actually make you a greater person if you do this for a little while. Okay, but I'm taking 3, 4, and 5 or out of the thing, because these are character development, and there's something that we should be putting into our own character development. So now I'm going to jump over to my last page, and I made us a new and improved cheshbon hanefesh chart, okay, our daily accounting chart. And the reason I did this is because last time I kind of showed what it looks like, but it was very unclear. First of all, what all the English words meant. What's alacrity, what's zeal, what do these things mean, right? So I tried to put it in English. I also put a description. And these are 10 character traits. And the way, again, everyone has their own approach. Victor Miller thinks, do 10 different things a day. Okay? I think, based on the book Cheshbon Nefesh, the best way is you take one character trait per week. You work on that character trait per week. Everything else kind of is in the background. It's not on the forefront of your mind, back of your mind. You focus on one character trait, and that's what you focus on for the week. And I gave a few boxes for people to fill in. Again, you don't have to use this chart. You can use whatever you want. But this is just something on paper and easy to work with. So what that time you have the trait. You have a quick synopsis of what the trait is. Very, very quick. What do we want to do this week with this? And again, they should be very small and measurable and easy. I put a where to remember it box. And the reason I did that is because one of the reasons people do not make any real progress because they totally forget about it. Right? Life happens, right? When life takes over, you're involved in your life and you forget about it. You need to set it ahead of time. Set a time where it's going to come up, right? Like I like to link these characters to a part of prayer because I know I have to daven every morning. I know I'm going to be there anyway. Let me link, erech hapayim, patience, to part of my prayer where I'm talking about something related to it. So it's on the floor. I have to remember it every day. Maybe you have something else in your day where it's going to come up. Maybe you make an alarm on maybe somewhere in your schedule you need a place to remember it, because if you don't, you'll just forget about it. Maybe you look at the chart again and be like, oh, I forgot about that, right? So you need a place to remember it. Okay, and basically it's very simple, just putting a check any day that you did it. You want to try to get 7, maybe 5 out of 7 days where you did it, and then a quick recap, what you learned from the week, how successful was it, what needs to be done better, what needs to be improved. After the week, you leave it and move on to trait number 2. And these things should be very, very small. So let's see, Menuchat HaNefesh, we mentioned. The trait, I'll just go through it very, very quickly, I know I'm running out of time, is peace of mind. So there's an external part of peace of mind, and there's an internal part of peace of mind. They're both needed. You can't expect to be peace of mind just internally. You have to actually, in a way, act it out. You have to act like you're totally in control. What happens with all that internal chaos? You have to work on that as well, fortifying your faith and knowing that God's running the show, not you. You don't have to stress out about it. right? So there's both elements. So again, take a period of a person's day, maybe it's 10 minutes of a person, maybe it's the morning routine. Maybe that's too hard. Forget the morning routine. Let's say it's the different part of the day where you think, again, it should be like a mediocre challenge. It shouldn't be the hardest challenge in your life. It shouldn't be the easiest challenge. It should be something mediocre. So maybe there's a part of your day where you sometimes get stressed out. Maybe it's driving from point A to point B when there's a little bit of traffic. Not crazy traffic, but a bit of traffic, and sometimes you get stressed out. So you will, before, that's your time, so you'll before you go ahead, you'll remind yourself, oh, this is my time, I'm working on for this week during this period of time of my day. And I'm going to try to make sure that I stay completely calm externally. I'm going to work on my internal focus as well. And for that period of 15, 20 minutes, whatever it is, I'm going to stay calm. If you did it, check. If you forgot about it, no check. And then try to get as many checks as you can, of course, the week. Recap. What did I learn from my week? What can I improve on next time? After the week, move on to number 2. Erech HaPayim. Patience, right? That's not getting angry. They're kind of very much related, but it's actually a different point. No chazal, it's just peace of mind in general. Not getting angry is extending your ability to not get angry, right? We call patience. Okay, that's Ne'alechet. That's when we spoke about genuine, sincere acts of righteousness. 2 acts that are genuine. I put 2 here. So you have 1 act, Rabbi Miller's act of doing kindness for somebody. Well, how about adding another act that's not necessarily kindness? That could be any sincere act of righteousness. Maybe it's a prayer. That's a sincere prayer. You're not doing this for anybody else. You're making a prayer for you. Something in your personal space that you're showing a sincere, genuine act that doesn't get any show, right? That's not, no one else knows about. Okay? Zrizas, here's again, I wrote something that's moderately difficult to do. Not something that's completely difficult, that's impossible for you. Not something that's too easy for you, something that's moderately difficult. Take that moderately difficult thing and decide, this week, I'm going to do it. And we mentioned the key of Zrizas, of acting with swiftness, without, is not contemplating, not thinking. This is the one time we tell you don't think. If you decide I'm going to be up at 6:20, you're up at 6:20. There's no discussion with yourself. Oh, do I really need to? If I get an extra half hour of sleep, I'll be so much more effective today. That discussion you lose. You lose. No talk, no discussion. If you decide 6:20, wake up 6:20, wake up. If you decide I'm going to Mincha this week, right? And sure, let's say you decide that, okay? No pressure. Let's say you decide I want to go to the afternoon services every day, and I could do it. I'm a little tired at the end of the day. So if you make that commitment, so to speak, to yourself, and you decided that, now, when the time comes, 5, 10, whatever the time is, there's no discussion. I'm going. It's not like, supper, this, that, is all kinds of, decision. No, I'm going because I'm not thinking, I'm not talking, I'm not even talking to you, You tell yourself, I'm not even talking to you, right? You're going because you decided. And that's something you can decide to do throughout the course of the week. Moderately difficult, not overwhelmingly difficult, moderately. Do that for a week. You'll see a tremendous improvement in your willpower to do things. You'll see that what was moderately difficult before becomes way too easy in the future if you can do this. It's amazing how this works. And it goes on and on. I mean, here, another, I'm going to jump back to humility. 2 acts a day where you put yourself last. You put yourself last. Twice a day. In other words, people are going into a building, you have a whole bunch of people going in, and instead of you naturally getting in front, you say, no, please, I'm going to get in the back of the line. Why? Because I want to put myself second. Why? Because I want to work on my humility. I'm not telling you that. Right? I'm not telling anybody that. I'm working on putting myself last. Right? I'm going to take out the garbage, even though I know someone else could do it, because I want to make myself the one taking out the garbage. Twice a day, 2 small things a day, where you work on humility. Again, you have to be pumped. You have to be focused on it. You have to remind yourself, oh, this is what I'm working on this week. You have to remind yourself every day, this is what I'm doing. You have to have that place where you're going to remind yourself and remember that this is what I'm doing. And then think about it. It needs a little bit of thought. Like I said, 1 minute a day is hard. A little bit of thought. Where are you going to do it? How are you going to do it? And then at the end of the week, a recap of how did it go? What did I gain? What can I do next time better? And I think if we follow this is 10 weeks worth of work right here. This is 2.5 months, right? There's a lot we can accomplish. And after you go through it, start over again and see that you improve tremendously from this program. And again, everyone's got their own approach. This is one approach I'm putting on the table. I hope you had a lot to gain. Please, anything you want to clarify, feel free to do so after. Okay.
I thought it was sheket.
That's sheket is like shut up. So shtika.
That's a good one for you. When you're stuck in traffic and somebody's trying to come in from a side road, let them in.
That's the humility week.
Yes.
On other weeks, forget about it.
I'm driving bulletin board in my truck, so I do it because it looks good on the
Want to.
Yes, I want to. There you
Want
go.
to. It's nothing to do with the bulletin, not
But it forces me to be humble and
I really think this one. is really.
Remember, get a logo on the side.
Intellect is not.
Yeah.
And you can realize afterwards
Yeah.
that had I been
It's
thinking
funny
it would
because
come
when
that way.
people they'll look at
So
you,
that's pretty
look
useless.
like, look like.
Yeah, like I said,
It's an advertising.
So it's easy. Intellect lost. It happens.
Oh, wow.
We all have our moments where intellect is
All right,
lags.
that's-
So intellect is kind of
I've
on
heard
top
of
of
it.
it.
Very well.
And the other doesn't have
Like
a,
remind yourself of those things. So finding ways to remind
there's
yourself.
any way it took me
Like
5
that's
months to
it.
schedule an appointment, but that's not there.
At the point of the day,
I don't watch
I'm
it.
cooking and I'm stressed out or rushed. So that's why when you focus on it, because you can't focus on it all day. So you focus
that's
on
true.
a small
Unless you get a very
window.
expensive plan.
And say, okay, I'm about to get started, here's my window.
That's the plan.
I'm ready for it. I'm waiting for
That
it.
kind of costs.
And I'm gonna be it, because I'm focused. You can't let it catch you off guard.
Homeward bound.
So, they should do that.
If it happens any time, it happens any time you can't. If you go on one window, and go from there. So find out what window you think is most effective to start. That's my window.
That's not bad. That's
The
not
rest of the day,
bad.
forget it.
Yeah.
The rest of the day is gone.
Not for the
That window, build it, and then
But the fact that it has no
start
income,
small. Everything needs to be a few minutes a day.
even the
That's it.
I don't know if they
This is it. This is it.
I just
Not
tried to
pray, pray, pray.
right out from my dog right now. I tried it, this decided to do it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I just throw that in. But I
Right, I hear it.
as long as it's a subsidiary. Okay.
Every compliments it. That's on the back of the
No
road.
idea.
It's all basic. I didn't say that. That's why when you come back, you'll see that all this stuff is so much more. And then each one, they complement. That's right. They're all connected.
Still trying to sell